Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So, you all remember Sam DuBose, an African American man who was driving in his vehicle. A University of Cincinnati police officer pulled him over. The officer claims that he pulled him over because he didn't have a license plate on the front of his vehicle. So the officer asked him if it's his vehicle. He asked him to produce his driver's license. And eventually, the officer tells him to get out of the vehicle. The officer slightly opens the door to the vehicle, and Sam DuBose closes the door. The officer reaches into the vehicle and grabs Sam DuBose near the chest area. Sam DuBose cuts on the ignition to the car, and before Sam DuBose can even move an inch or drive a foot in that car, that officer proceeds to shoot this brother in the head, killing him. And after killing this brother, this officer tries to cover his tracks by saying that he was being dragged by the vehicle, by saying that he almost got hit. And he says these things multiple times to a couple of police officers in order to justify this killing. So he was put on trial a while ago. This incident occurred in 2015. So he was put on trial. A mistrial was declared in the first case. And then recently, another mistrial was declared today. The juries were unable to reach a verdict. They were deadlocked. The thing that makes this whole situation even more outrageous is, first of all, he was unarmed. He did not pose a threat. And this whole incident was captured on video. The officer had on a body camera that captured the entire incident. Now, I looked at the video a couple of times, multiple times. I will include a link to the video in the description box so that you can watch it for yourself. I looked at that video carefully, and I don't see this officer being dragged by the car. I don't see this car almost hitting this officer. This officer completely exaggerated, embellished in order to justify the lynching of this brother, Sam DuBose. That's what happened. And the fact that a jury took 5 days and they still were deadlocked, the fact that there were two juries deadlocked in this case, is a testimony to the fact that this criminal justice system is designed to protect these killer cops. It is designed to protect officers who kill black people. And it makes it abundantly clear that this criminal justice system doesn't give a damn about black people. It doesn't give a damn about black lives. It does everything that it can to protect these officers that kill our people. I mean, how many more examples do we need before we wake up? Before we finally understand that this system doesn't give a damn about us? How many more Philando Castiles do we need? How many more Sam DuBoses do we need? How many more Trayvon Martins do we need? How many more Sean Bills do we need? How many more Rakia Boyds do we need? How many more victims do we need before we finally wake up and take real action against this injustice? Before we finally get off our asses and do something to make a difference? And the first thing that each and every one of us can do is join an organization today that is fighting for our people, that is fighting against discrimination, that is fighting against police brutality. That's how we make a difference, by organizing, by mobilizing, by taking real action to change laws, to change policy, to change the system. That's what needs to happen. When a system allows this kind of injustice to fester, the people lose hope in the system. The people eventually take it upon themselves to destroy the system and replace it with something better. And ultimately, that's what the people will do if these kinds of injustices continue. There's only so much that people can take before they eventually explode. I mean, how many more Freddie Grays do we have to witness? How many more black people must be killed at the hands of these police and no justice be rendered? It's just a matter of time. And not only must we just organize, we need to defend ourselves in our communities. Every single black person needs to learn how to use firearms, and they need to protect themselves, their families, and their communities. That's what we need to do. Enough is enough. And we also need to educate our people about how to interact with these cops. And even with the best training on how to interact with these cops, I just want to be perfectly clear. Sometimes it doesn't even matter what you do. These police will kill you anyway. These police will shoot you anyway. These police will harass you anyway. I did a video a few months ago about a brother who was on the ground with his hands in the air, completely obeying the officer's commands, and the officer proceeded to shoot that brother. Fortunately, he wasn't killed, but if somebody can be that compliant and still get shot by the police, that tells you that these police don't value black life. In fact, these police feel like they have a license to hunt and kill black people. And that's what they do. I mean, how many more Terrence Crutchers must we witness before we take some action? I did a video a couple of days ago about police shooting and killing a pregnant woman in the presence of her children. This is the kind of society that we live in. Are you going to sit down and let this happen? Are you going to just sit and talk about the problem? Or are you going to get out there and do something about it? Speech is good. Speech is good because it motivates people. But when people are done talking, it's time for action. These YouTube videos have to be more than just a fundraising mechanism for individuals. These YouTube videos need to be vehicles for organization, vehicles to call the people to action.